So hi guys, hi everyone, welcome back to our channel, our corner and space. And today we'll be talking about one interesting topic. I'm saying interesting because it keeps recurring. It's like a debate. Some people are for it, some people are against it, etc. So the big question for today is obesity hereditary? Simply means, can obesity be transferred from, say, your mother and your father to you? Do you believe that, let's say, like your skin color, if your parents are dark, it's close to 80% that you also be dark? Are you saying obesity is hereditary, and maybe the fact that your parents have some weight automatically means you're also going to get some weight? But before we go into anything, before we start any discussion at all, what is obesity? When we say someone is obese, what does it mean? Obesity simply means you're storing more than you're burning. You're storing more than you're burning to the point that it's going to become a problem. So there are some calculations to tell whether you're storing too much or you're storing less, etc. And it's called the body mass index, simply puts the BMI. I'm sure a lot of us have heard about the BMI from health screenings to doctor visits, etc. But I'm going to teach you how to calculate the BMI. So if you have a pen and paper, let's do this quickly. If you know your weight, let's say Amma's weight is 50 kilograms, then you're going to put 50 kilogram on top, like division, what we used to do way back in school. So the weight is going to be on top, the numerator, and your height in meters. So if you know your height in feet or centimeters, you have to convert. So if it's in centimeters, millicentimeter. So you know, to move from centimeter to meters, you have to move the decimal point twice. So if your height, for example, is 153 centimeters, you move the decimal point twice and it becomes 1.53 meters. So now that we know what your height in meters is and what your weight in kilogram is, we can go ahead and calculate the BMI. So at this point, I will need you to get your calculators ready. You can use your phone calculator or anything, and let's calculate our BMI. So assuming Akosia's weight is, let's say, 50 kilogram, and her height is 1.53 centimeters, then our BMI is going to be calculated as such. So you have the 50 kilogram to be your numerator, okay, and we are going to square the height. So it's going to be your height raised to the power 2. So if you're using a phone, just repeat it. So it's going to be 50 kilogram divided by 1.53 divided again by 1.53. Okay, so in this case, the BMI we have is 21.35. So I'm going to give you a few minutes, then you input your own weight versus your height. So let's say the same person, the same lady is weighing 70 kilogram for the same height. Her BMI is now going to be 29.9. Let's note the figures. Okay. Then if the same lady is weighing 100, her BMI is going to be 42.7. Okay, so this is basically how you calculate your BMI. You get to know your BMI. But after getting all these figures, what do they mean? What does it stand for? Great. So if you calculate your BMI and you have anything between 18.5 to 24.9, it is termed healthy weight. That means your weight is within range. And if you calculate your BMI and you have anything between 25 to 29.9, you're termed overweight. So in that case, like your weight is too much, but you're not obese yet. And if you check and you have anything above or 30, so that is, if you have anything that is 30 kilogram per meter squared and above, then you are obese. Why is obesity a problem? Research has shown in recent times that obesity is the main risk factor for a lot of health conditions, ranging from type 2 diabetes to cardiovascular diseases, that is, diseases of the heart and the circulatory system, all the way to some cancers and even stroke, etc. So if you are obese, it is only prudent that you start to work towards a healthy weight. Nobody decides to be obese. It's something that creeps up on us gradually. And it's a good thing to understand that, hey, where I stand health wise, weight wise, may not be the best, and then I have to work on it. Some people argue that BMI is not an ideal way of determining whether somebody's weight is healthy or not. Yes, that's true. There are instances, for instance, for bodybuilders, they may have a lot more muscle, which is tend to be healthier in a way. So when they do the BMI and it looks like they are obese or overweight, may not really mean they are overweight. It may just be because of their muscle mass, etc. But that's not what we are discussing today. So today we want to know whether obesity is hereditary. What are the articles saying? What is the conclusion we can draw to help ourselves and all that? So to the focus of our discussion today, is obesity hereditary or not? I'm giving you 2 seconds to take a stance. Hereditary or not hereditary? Okay. So, to the main facts, a lot of studies have shown that there is some truth to obesity being genetic, as in just the same way they will find a gene for your eye color, or a gene for your height, or a gene for other physical features. There are some genes that are related to obesity, or how somebody is going to store fat, etc. Some genetic mutations have been proven, and some of these things are because of environmental factors. According to the Center of Disease Control, that is the CDC, it goes far back as even how your mother ate when she was pregnant with a child. So some of the studies have shown that children that suffer intrauterine growth restriction, that is when they're in their mother's womb, they don't get enough nutrition. So it's like they're not growing properly. They are forced to change how their body uses insulin. Insulin is just a hormone that determines how you metabolize, the food you eat, the carbs that you get. So this study was telling us that when the mother doesn't eat enough and then the baby doesn't grow well in the womb, sometimes it's not just because the mother is not eating enough, but other factors. So for whatever reason that a child goes through this intrauterine growth restriction, there's a change in how the body metabolizes insulin. And this creates a certain syndrome, which has been shown to affect the genotype. So this thing is simply called a thrifty genotype, to say that it's like when you don't have money and all of a sudden you have money, you get more money. It may not be logical all through, but let's say you're used to spending very little, let's say 10 cities for a whole day, and all of a sudden overnight you are given like 100,000 cedis. What do you do with it? Other people who are used to that kind of life may be able to expend it easily, but in your case you're going to save so much more because you're used to living a very minimalistic life. That is what the thrifty genotype is about. So you can read about it. What they're saying is because that child has been exposed to little food in the mother's womb, how the child metabolizes food has changed. So when the child is born and the child is now exposed to a lot of energy, a lot of food, the child easily stores as fat and becomes obese. That is one school of thought. Then there's the other school of thought that says that obesity is hereditary, because if you see a family where people are big, you realize that it's like it trickles down from the parents, first generation, second generation, etc. But in all these studies, there was one thing that cuts across. They all emphasize on the fact that it has to do with exposure. So whether or not science is not at a point when we can emphatically say that obesity is solely genetic, like somebody being obese is genetic, so you can't do anything about it. When it has to do with your genes, you can't do anything about it. If genetically I have brown eyes, I have to do a surgery or wear contact lenses, etc. But when it comes to obesity and genetics, the good thing is environmental factors play a very, very big role. So it's more of a multifactorial thing, ranging from environmental factors to cultural factors to lifestyle, habits, etc. So let's not dwell so much on the fact that, yay, research says there's some genes, so, we relax and say, yes, and mine is genetic, etc. No, always remember that you've had a role to play, because in as much as there's the genetic aspect, it is to a greater extent affected by your environment, your exposure, the things you eat, the things you do on a daily basis. So, for example, in a home where, let's say, they have the obesity gene, is a monochromic gene in their family, okay? Let's say every child has it, but they have a lifestyle where twice a week they go jogging and they don't eat junk, etc., etc. They may have that gene, but because of the environmental factors that are influencing the gene, that child is not going to express the obesity as an outcome. I have a feeling that with time, science is going to find out that the genes don't play so much of a role, because most of the articles I came across and I read, and even some systematic reviews, those are just, it's like a summary of what everybody is saying. They are all kind of giving the impression that yes, there may be some genetic aspect. There may be genes may play a role to a great extent, but environmental factors play a greater role. So I believe with this we can bring our debate to an end. We can draw the curtains and say that yes, obesity may have some genetic influence to an extent, but to a greater extent is affected by our environment, the exposure. So let's work more on the environmental factors. What measures do you put in place in your home that will not make your children, express these genes or these family traits? What are you teaching your children? What do you stock your fridge with? How do you encourage your children to be more physically active? Children watch us and they learn. What are we doing that they can pick? Will it help? Will it not help? And even for ourselves, what are we doing? It's not too late. The year has not ended. You can start something. You can pick up something. In the next video, we'll talk about ways to reduce our risk of becoming obese, or if being a roller coaster of guessing this person's idea, reading that. I may not know it all, so if you have any other contrary thoughts, you have any articles that you think we can read that would be useful, you can kindly drop it in the comment section. I'll go ahead and read. I'm looking forward to having more like gathering a number of seasoned dietitians to also share their thoughts on this topic, because it's really becoming a cankerworm. A lot of us are hiding behind the fact that, oh yeah, it's in my family, and then we don't do anything about it. And the next thing, you hear a young person has hypertension, has had a stroke, is passed on because of a cardiovascular disease, etc. When we can do something about it. So yes, until next time, this is Keso's Corner, where we learn and we try to, change the world, change our health a step at a time. Bye.